It's time for Ask Ozzie. Adam in Clever, Missouri asked, what was your pregame ritual as a player? Well, my rituals, I get to the ballpark probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'd probably go into the training room for a little bit. And then it was either down to the cage or out to the field, depending on what I felt I needed to work on that particular day. But I took ground balls every day. I never wanted to be surprised by anything that happened on the field, so I took ground balls on my knees, which took my feet completely out of it, and I just had to use my hands, and that helped develop my hand and eye coordination, and there was always something to work on. Anybody that had a fungo that was walking around and wasn't busy, I could put them to work. Jeff in Belleville, Illinois wants to know, did you ever fall during one of your flips? You must have at least once. No, I never fell, but it did get lower and lower, Jeff, as the years went on, and it really depended on spring training. If I came out of spring training and say I slid and hurt my knee or something, or had a bad ankle or something, that had an impact on how high I was able to get, but I never did fall, and that was always quite the accomplishment. Philip in Maryland Heights, Missouri wants to know, what happened to your batting gloves and bat from Game 5 of the 1985 National League Championship Series, and did you get to keep the ball? Well, yes, I did get to keep the ball. I don't know where my gloves are, but I did get to keep the ball, and the ball is in my case at home. And that was one of those moments that will always stand out as far as Cardinal history is concerned. So that was a very special moment for me, and hopefully for you. Rich in St. Peters, Missouri asked, what was it like to play the Wizard of Oz at the Muni? That was a great experience, and it's one of the perks of the job, I guess. Having guest appearances at the Muni. Actually, that was my second time having the opportunity to be a part of the Muni, and it was fun. It was work because I had to practice all week, so it was a great run, and who knows, hopefully I'll get a chance to do it again. Gregory asked, was astroturf as bad as they say it was? For me, it wasn't as bad as people say it was. Actually, I love playing on astroturf because the hops were truer and I always felt faster. I loved it because on Sundays when it was hot, the ball would take a big hop, and I always had a lot of fun with it. Stan in Hoxie, Arkansas asked, if you didn't play professional baseball, what other sport would you have played? Or would you have done something else different? Well, basketball was what I excelled in high school, so if I didn't play baseball, I probably would have played basketball. But my degree was in social science, so it was with a teaching background. So if I didn't play baseball or any sport, I probably would have been a teacher. The impact that we can have as players is very, very important, and I've never taken that lightly. I know that young people look up to us, and when I have the opportunity to speak with young people, I tell them how important it is to work hard to be the very best that you can be, and that you're only going to get out of something what you put in. So if you don't put anything in, you shouldn't expect anything in return, and that's life. Jamie in Kelville, Kentucky asked, have you ever been up in the arch? Yes, I have, and I am claustrophobic. That was one of the first things I did when I came to St. Louis, and in many ways it was terrifying. So if you haven't been up, check it out. Verena in Murray, Kentucky asked, what's your favorite hobby? Well, since I retired, golf has really become my hobby, probably more. I probably play as much or work as hard with my golf game as I did my baseball game. I became interested in golf once I retired because for all of us that play for 15 or 20 years, there's a competitive void in your life. And golf fills that void because you're battling yourself probably more than the course and the people that you're playing against. So that is one of the reasons that I've fallen in love with it. I know I'll never master it, but I want to get myself to a point to where I can at least shoot my age. Franklin in Des Moines, Iowa asked, what was your favorite food to eat before a game? My go-to food was hamburger helper. A good helping of hamburger helper would get me back on track quicker than anything I've ever eaten. So hamburger helper was my go-to. Hamburger helper came into my life as I grew into adulthood, and it's just macaroni and ground beef, man. With a little cheese sprinkled on. Nothing like it. Olivia in Columbia, Missouri wants to know, what was your favorite team to play against? I don't know if I had a favorite team to play against. You know, because when you're playing 162 games, you know, it's a grind every day, and you're trying to do your best every day. There wasn't a favorite team. Now, when I finished my career, I realized that I hit very well against Philadelphia. At the time, I had no idea. So if I had to pick a team, I guess I'd say Philadelphia. Actually, you know, when I think about Philadelphia, I think about my last All-Star game, which was 1996, where they gave me a standing ovation. I know they've been known to boo Santa Claus, but they cheered Ozzie Smith that day. Mason in Columbus, Illinois wants to know, what is the difference about the Cardinals organization that keeps decades of alumni coming back? Well, it's about the people, and the organization has always treasured the importance of the players giving back to the community, and I think it's a love fest that goes back and forth, and that's why you see so many guys staying a part of a community once they get here. We talk about everything. We talk about everything from golf to baseball and the state of baseball and what's going on in the world. It's not easy to go out there and play at a high level all the time, and I think the guys that end up wearing the red jackets are guys that play at a different level, and it's an honor to be a part of it. I think that for the guys that end up making it, we knew that it was just a matter of time, and it was an honor to not only play with some of them, but to watch the guys perform day in and day out. Alexa in Davenport, Iowa asks, what was it like to play with Vince Coleman and Willie McGee? As you can imagine, Alexa, it was a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. We won a lot, you know, so that made it a lot easier. Before I started hitting up in the lineup, I hit eighth, so I had a chance to watch Willie and Vince on the bases at the same time. And if you're a Cardinal fan, then you know that if there was a base hit or an extra base hit, it was fun watching those guys run the bases. One of the amazing things about Vince was the fact that if they threw over to first base 15 times, on the 16th time he could steal second base. Willie and I came over in the spring of 1980. That was our first year together. When David Green got hurt, Willie was called up, and Willie ended up staying with me that season, and 2 years later he was still there, you know, so I call him a moocher. He didn't know when to leave, and he's one of my best friends to this day.